All right, guys, welcome back to the Called and Creative podcast. I'm Michaela Steek, owner of Till the Dawn Photo Company.
And I'm Courtney Miller, owner of Miller Image and Motion.
And together we co-founded the Called and Creative. And this is your space to talk all things photography. And today we are going to be talking about 10 things to do in a slow season.
Yep. This is a big topic because a lot of photographers never know what to do when you don't have shoots. So We're going to talk about things that we do, that we set up our businesses so that we don't have to do when we're busy. So
we even contemplating doing this like in 2 parts because it is so much, but we just decided 2 parts is probably not the best. You know, you want to get all the information right in one place. And so we're sticking with the 1 episode, but it'll probably be a little bit longer than typical, I'm guessing.
I bet so.
So we'll just jump right in. Courtney, you want to take us off with number 1?
Yes. So the number 1 thing, which I almost think is probably the most important, update your website. Because more than likely, it's probably been a year, if not more, since you have last updated your website. So I'm talking pictures, not only pictures you've taken from sessions and weddings and stuff that you've done over the last year, but even pictures of yourself, because
that's a big one.
It is a big one.
You can change a lot in a year.
You really can. You really can. And updating the copy on your website, updating, just the information in general. Maybe you stopped offering, a specific type of session, or your style changed, things like that. So your website is really where people find you. So if you're not keeping up with it, people are not going to find you.
Yeah, I am the worst about, I'll update my packages and my pricing, but a lot of times, especially since my style has been so consistent over the last few years, I just won't change the photos. And I know that's not good. I know that's not what you're supposed to do, but when you have the extra time, you're like, okay, what do I have to do today? Yep. Literally nothing. Go update your website, and maybe you start a list of things you need to do during slow season. That way you're like, okay, this is number 1. Today's my first, I have nothing to do day, so let's knock it out.
Yep.
I feel like you could do it within, half an hour, maybe an hour, depending on how you do your files, but it can be pretty quick.
I don't think it takes super long. I think it's just one of those things that mentally a lot of us just put it to the back burner, especially during busy season, because we're so focused on actually doing the shoots, editing, getting stuff back to clients, planning other sessions and weddings and things, that I just think it's something that kind of gets put to the back burner, and people are like, oh, I'll just do it later, and then later never comes.
Yeah.
So
I think it's important to remember too, we probably should have started off the podcast by saying this, but slow season is going to be different depending on where you live.
Oh, definitely.
So where we live, we kind of have 2 slow seasons, I feel like. Our dead slow season is January through would you say mid-March probably?
I would say January and February for sure.
March can be iffy depending on the weather. Yeah.
But then again in August.
Again,
it's usually dead because it's so hot here.
Yeah, definitely August. I have been pretty slow in July too, just because it is so hot during those months. And people are getting ready for back to school, so they're saving their money for clothes and all the things that come with back to school. So you can kind of prepare on slow season based on where you live. Other areas, I know, I did a shoot with a fellow photographer down in Texas when we visited some family down there, and she said that they don't really have a slow season in the winter because it's warm there. It's 70, 80 degrees all the time in the winter, but they are very slow in the summertime because it is so hot. And so your slow season is going to change based on where you live.
Definitely.
So just because it's not slow season where you are right now, you should still be planning ahead for what you want to do during slow season.
Definitely.
But if you live in Oklahoma like us, we're right in the middle of it right now. So are we ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, I think so.
So this kind of goes along with updating your website, but number 2 is update or change your package offerings and pricing. Very natural to do that in January and get that done. And this is a great opportunity to do your cost of doing business as well.
Definitely.
Have you done that recently?
Not recently. I'm going to be doing that here Probably next month. I've kind of made a list for myself of things that I need to get done.
By priority.
Yep. And
Yep.
so not quite to that one yet.
Yep.
Because so far my prices are still profitable. But I definitely am planning to increase them here in the next month. So
Yeah, I did mine early this, like probably the first week of January. It was not January 1st, but I did a small price increase just because inflation, everybody's going up. Very small increase. However, I did change my packages. So I used to include studio rental fees to whatever studio wanted, because where we live, we have a ton of them. Like there are studio rentals all over Tulsa. So I included whatever studio you wanted, or, outdoor permit fees in your package. Now I have a home studio that I pay a monthly membership fee to. So you have to come to my studio, or you pay the additional fees. And that really wasn't to save on studio fees necessarily, because I'm still paying for the studio. However, it's only 20 minutes from my house. And so the way I was doing it before, I could end up driving 45 minutes to a studio and 45 minutes home. And that's an extra hour and a half away from my family. And so I've changed it up to where if you want me to go somewhere else, I will, but there's going to be a travel fee and you're going to pay for that studio fee. And in return, I am not hiking my prices significantly. I'm keeping them pretty similar to what they were. So that is one thing I did early this year.
That's smart. I probably need to do the same thing, because for branding sessions especially, I feel like the studio just makes the most sense.
Right.
And you're right. I did the same thing with mine, where I included a studio rental fee. And now that I have a studio of my own where I'm going to start having things, that people can come to me for.
Right.
I need to do something similar to that. But
I think so far it's working out really well. I'm interested to see how the rest of the year goes. But people liked to know, like, you have your own space, which is not technically my space, but it is my home base. And it kind of gives me a little bit of a leg up to say, like, this is where I'm located and this is exactly where you're going to be going, instead of this back and forth of, okay, what do you like? What do you want to do? I just have like a set, like, here's your option, and if you want something else, we can discuss it. So I've really enjoyed that I've done that. And then I kept my packages pretty similar, but I did take out one of my packages. So I went from 4 to 3, and I did post on my page, like, hey, this package is going away. Like, if you would like to book it for 2026, you can do so before this date. And so I gave people the opportunity to book it, but now it's gone. We're not doing it anymore. So it's cut out.
Awesome. Are you ready to move on to the next one?
I think so.
Okay. Number 3 is update your backend booking software. So this would be like your contracts, your invoices, your packages. Again, it kind of goes right along with our last point of updating your prices and the package offerings that you have. But if you have a CRM system like Honeybook or something, you can go in and like pre-make it so that whenever you're sending a proposal with like a contract and an invoice, you don't have to put in the same information 20 times a month every single time you book one. You just click on the
templates, friends. Make templates.
Save you so much time. I know it's a lot of like work on the front end, but it will save you so much time on the back end.
Absolutely.
So much time. So this is the perfect time to be making that, so that you don't have to be worrying about making it every single time you're booking somebody during busy season.
Absolutely. And it's also a great opportunity if you are looking to switch platforms. This is a great time to do that. It takes time to export all your contacts and put it back in and get used to the layout. And it's best to be doing that when you're not in the middle of booking season, when you have a million projects going on. And also, it's just nice to not like switching, especially if you have like a retainer paid on like a wedding or a session. If you're switching platforms, like, you may have to pay for both of them. If you can hit it in that sweet spot, maybe you have a week where you have no sessions, everybody's paid up, you're good to go. That's a great opportunity to switch over and make that change.
Definitely.
Not always possible. It'd be really difficult for me at this point to switch platforms and not have like an in-between. I actually did switch platforms in the fall, which I shouldn't have done, but I did.
That just sounds rough.
Yeah, I think it was like September, so I wasn't crazy busy yet.
Still though, yeah.
But I had to switch. I have a wedding. It's not till May, and so I had to move like all of their stuff over to the new, and I had to make a new contract, or not a new contract. I had downloaded the contract we already had, but I had to redo the invoice and email her and just let her know that like I'm switching platforms, and so it was a little bit of a mess. But if you can only do that with like 1 or 2 clients versus like 10 or 15 or 20, way easier. So that's a great thing to get done during that time. One thing I also forget, if you have anything about mileage and you go off the annual or the federal mileage rate, which is what I go off of for travel fees, you need to go into your contract and change that because it does change year to year. And so make sure you look it up. I'm not even sure what it is for this year because I haven't done this yet. But last year was 70 cents a mile.
Yeah. That sounds right.
But it is probably higher. It's probably like 72 or 75 cents this year. So if you have that clause in your contract, make sure you go update that. All right. Are we ready to move on to number 4?
Yes.
All right. Number 4 is create automations that make your life easier and your clients more impressed. I love automations for the reason of that every single client's getting the same exact experience.
Yep.
And you don't have to worry about missing anything.
Yep.
How do you use automations in your business?
So for me, I have them all set up through HoneyBook. So as soon as I send over the contract and invoice, I have email templates for basically whatever it is that I'm sending them. I already have it pre-written out I know this is exactly what they're getting when I send them the contract and the invoice. I also have automations set kind of like what we just talked about, where all of my weddings, they all get the same contract. I'm not rewriting anything. Literally the only things that are changing are their names, the date, the location, things like that are variable depending on, the wedding or the session. But otherwise, everyone signs the same contract. And they get the same email with all of the instructions on how to log in and sign the contract, pay the invoice, all of that information. And then they also get, once they sign and once they pay, they get an automated email saying, thank you, I got your payment, I got your signed contract, you're officially booked. Right. And then I'm actually thinking about adding a new one in this year that automatically will send them a link to my client closet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just because I always have to send those anyways. And so my thought is that if they're planning a session with me, even if it's a wedding, probably 85% to 90% of my weddings that I book, they usually end up using their engagement session. Right. Or if they purchase a package that doesn't come with one, they usually end up adding one. Right. And so I have to help them plan the location, and sometimes they use my client closet guide, and so I have to send that stuff anyways. So I'm thinking about adding another one in there that has all of that information and the links to those as well, just so that they can know that I have that stuff and they can check it out on their own time if they wish. Right. So that's one I'm thinking about adding this year. And then another one that I'm in the process of setting up, actually, I'm hoping to get it set up by the end of the week. Because before I used to just send this myself, and it's kind of gotten to the point where it's getting hard to keep track of the more weddings I get on. But I always like to send a questionnaire to get all of the last minute details for the wedding. Right. Especially if I'm helping with their timeline. If I'm not helping with their timeline and they have a planner or a coordinator or whatever, it's not as like detrimental to me that I need to know all that information, because they can just send me the timeline. But if I'm helping put together their timeline, there's a lot of like information that I need. And so I usually send them a questionnaire, usually like 3 to 4-ish months out, depending on the wedding. If it's a smaller wedding, and kind of a little more last minute, sometimes I'll send it a little later, but I always send the same questionnaire. Right. And so I'm thinking about putting in an email where, X amount of days prior to their wedding, the questionnaire automatically goes out with the said email. So hopefully I'll have that done by the end of the week. Yeah, I did the same thing when I was using HoneyBook. Mine was just set up to where
So I had automation set, but it would like notify me to send them. So like just if there's any changes I need to make to that specific client's email, like I have the opportunity to do that before it sends, but it reminds me, hey, you need to approve this email and send it out.
That's
and so I am just too much of a control freak to just let it willy-nilly like send things out. But I liked the reminders part of it. And now I'm using Sessions, which is very similar. It's a little bit, there's not as many tools in Sessions, but it's quite a bit cheaper than HoneyBook. I'm just at a point in my business where I'm shooting a lot of real estate as a contractor, where I'm not doing any client experience things. Like I'm just shooting, I'm not editing or anything. So I'm doing a lot of that to where I don't have to take as many like regular portrait sessions. So I'm not having the volume that I was when it came to portrait sessions and weddings and things. And so I just don't need all the tools that HoneyBook offered, but Sessions has a cheaper, kind of lower grade, if you will. And what they have is a board. And so you create these columns for like each of your session experience items. So I get like once I have a booking, it goes into like send a welcome email. And I have the template set aside to where I can just copy paste, send it to them. And then once that's done, it gets moved to like a check-in, like 7 days before their session, like they get a check-in email with me, and I have my whole client experience like set out that way. And then all I have to do is move them as I finish them. And then I can also do due dates, and it'll notify me and say, hey, you missed your due date on this one item. That way I am reminded to like go do that thing. So it's similar to automations, but more like a reminder.
Yeah.
But very similar to how automations would work. Anything else you wanted to go over on automations?
I don't think so.
I know we have on here makes your clients more impressed, and I do think that's true. I think the more communicative and like, I guess what's the right word?
Like, here's the information, like, here's all your...
Yes, like the more predictable is the word I'm looking for. The more predictable you can be, the better. Like people... How many times have you spent money and you get like no confirmation email or no confirmation text, no follow-up? I've heard this a lot with like styled shoots of like people forget to like give you more information. And so like with my clients, they probably get over communicated to, they get over informationed, if you will. I pride myself in that. Like I would much rather you feel like, oh, you've given me a lot of information rather than I have no idea what's happened. I paid you $600 and I have no idea what's happening. That is like my worst fear. And so I am overly, and that is, people do come to me for my photos. They love my style, of course. Like they wouldn't use me if they didn't. However, people come back to me and they have said this. They come to me initially and they come back to me because of the experience I provide, and just like, they know what's going on, and they know if there's an issue, like I'm going to be there for them and get it fixed, like they know what to expect from me. And so impressing your clients from the very, very beginning, I think is so important.
Definitely.
And automations can do that. All right, you ready for number 5?
Yes.
You want to jump into it?
The next one is investing in education. And the reason is because you actually have time to do something with it.
Yep.
And in theory, you should have money from just coming out of busy season. So this is the perfect time to invest some money into an online course or a coaching or mentoring program or, whatever it is that you're interested in trying and learning. This is the perfect time to do that.
Yeah, and even if you don't get to it this busy season, like making a list of things you want to learn throughout the year, that way when your next slow season hits and you're like, I don't know what I want to do, you can go back to that list and say like,
I was interested in this before. Yes. Okay, now I have time to finally do it. I'm going to buy it now.
Yeah. And you can always learn something. Like I have a list of things that I would really like to learn. Like I want to learn more creative lighting right now. That's like my big thing that I want to learn in photography. Will I get to it this slow season? Probably not, because we just co-founded a new company and we have a lot going on, and I have 2 little kids at home. But when I get to a slow season where I do have time to do those things, like I know that's the top of my list of things I want to learn. So And you're right. Like, you, in theory, have come off of a busy season and you probably have some money put away, or hopefully you do. But you're probably in a better place to invest than you would be at the end of a slow season. So, or at the beginning of a busy season. So if you can, and so many people offer payments now.
Oh, so many of them. Yeah.
I know. So when I went full time, I did a 6-month like high level coaching program, and it's probably $5,000, maybe a little more than that. Very expensive, very, very worth it. But I was able to do payments on it so that as I went through the program and as I grew my business, I was able to pay it on it as I went through the program. And so that was awesome that I was able to do that. It just made investing so much easier because I knew that I could pay into it as I grew and not just like one upfront slump that I may or may not get back,
Yep.
And so that made it a little bit easier. It is very hard to invest in yourself, but once you do it, now that I have made that huge investment and have seen that come back to me like so many times over, now it's so much easier for me to be like, okay, this is what I want to learn. I'll invest.
Yep.
Just so much easier. Okay, so number 6 is clean your gear or swap out pieces of gear. So if you are, which Courtney can talk more about this, but I know for me, like, I really need to get my gear cleaned. My sensor, I just got a new camera. I don't know what, like 3 or 4 months ago. My sensor needs cleaned. So that's on my list, is to either order the kit to do it myself, because I did watch a video. I think I could do it myself. However, do I want to? I don't know. But I may just find a slow week where I'm not shooting and just take it into Bedford and have them do it. That way I can be away from my camera for a few days and it not be a big deal. I always have backups, but I prefer like my main body. So if I can do it in a slow week where I don't need it, totally ideal to do that. But it can be really hard to do that, especially if you're shooting weddings in busy season. You need both your bodies or all of your bodies. And so it can be really hard to find that like time to take it in, get it cleaned. And same thing with swapping out gear. I know you have kind of a system for swapping gear.
Yeah. So for me, a lot of times what I do is I will get gear based on the season I'm about ready to have. And so I rarely swap gear in the middle of a season just because I can't, not have something for a few days or a week or something.
Right.
And so for me, during slow season like this, I may sell off a piece of my gear. So for example, I just sold off my 6D Mark II, which was kind of a backup of a backup. And then I replaced it with an R6. And so there was like a week to 2 week gap right there where I was down a camera.
Right.
Which, in the grand scheme of things, I still would have been fine.
Right.
But not something I would do in the middle of fall busy season when I've got weddings every single weekend or whatever. And so for me, this makes way more sense to do in the off season.
And then you're able to sell it first, have that money, and then go spend it. Whereas sometimes you could, if you go buy it first and then you sell, like you may not be able to sell it, and then you're out that money when you weren't expecting to be. So
which
I get that.
I feel is a way more financially feasible way to do it. Now, if you have the money to just go out and buy it and then you can take your time selling it, cool.
Right.
But for me, it works out way better if I can sell it first and then go buy what I want rather than the other way around.
Yeah. This last, in the middle of like real estate, so I had this like month where my real estate season and my portrait seasons, like my busy seasons, overlapped. It was a rough October. October was very hard for me. I didn't know if I was going to make it out alive. And then in the middle of that overlap, my main body crashed. It was my good old trusty DSLR 750. I was not ready to switch. I had been putting off switching because I know mirrorless comes with a little bit of a learning curve, especially like editing wise. And so I was putting it off. And then I was really hoping to push it out to like Black Friday so I could get a deal on Black Friday. And then my shutter just like
didn't make it.
It quit in the middle of a shoot one day. And I was like, crap, I have to go buy a body today, like, because I have shoots tomorrow.
Man.
And so don't be like me. If you know you need to buy a new body, just buy it during slow season. That's what I
Yeah.
should have done, but you live and you learn. But even when you're a seasoned professional, like I'm 8 years in and I still make stupid mistakes like that.
I think that's just kind of how we learn, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, stuff just happens.
It's
I mean,
life. Yeah.
yeah, nothing is ever going to be perfect. Even
Yeah.
if you're really, really good at things and you've done it for a
Absolutely.
very long time,
Yeah.
nothing will ever be perfect.
Yeah.
Ever. You're
I
still going
agree.
to have stuff come up. So,
Cool. That was number 6. Are you ready for number 7?
yes. So, number 7 is batch make content for social media. So, when I say this, I don't mean to batch make all of your content and never, post sneak peeks or, sessions and stuff that you've done the following week or whatever. But I'm saying more for like the educational or like brand foundational content. So talking about who you are as a person, who you serve. For example, on the educational side, if you shoot weddings, talk about, like 5 things that, couples need to know before they book their wedding photographer.
Right.
Something like that. Those can easily be batch made beforehand. You don't have to make that the day that you post it. I mean, you can, but
I often make, 3 or 4 videos in a day because I think it has something to do with my ADHD brain, but like I go through these cycles of like, I'll just be really inspired one day and I'm like, oh, I have this idea, I have this idea, I have this idea. And then the following week, my brain's just like nowhere to be found, basically.
yep.
So like I take advantage of those and whatever comes to mind, I just make it. And so slow season's a really good time to just make a list of ideas you have and then boom, 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 knock them out in one day.
Yep.
Pro tip, change your shirt
Yes.
like video to video so it looks like you've done it on different days even though you haven't. Even if your hair and makeup's the same, like I do my makeup the same no matter the day,
same.
basically.
Yeah. I have like
And
one
so,
look that I know how to
yeah,
do. It's about
nobody
it.
would ever know that it's a different day.
Yeah.
And so if you just literally change your shirt, like if you have a pair of jeans and change your shirt, no one will ever know. So it's so much easier. And then you can schedule things out and then you're not even thinking about posting. It's a great thing to do. It's actually something we're working on for CNC right now is batch making content.
Plus, I feel like it takes a huge load off of you too, especially if like social media overwhelms you. Because I don't know about you, but it overwhelms me. Mostly because you go on there and there's just so much.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and they're just like the expectation of like having the perfect like post
Feed, yes.
and the feed, and there just has to be aesthetic. It has to look nice.
Yep.
It has to be perfect, and you have to think about things before you post it. And don't even get me started on like perfecting the way that your feed looks, because you'll have to think 10 posts ahead about before you post what you're trying to post today. And it gets so overwhelming for me that like I can't do that. So I have to just say, this is what I'm posting today.
I really like rules when it comes to social media. So that's one reason I really like real estate, is because it's not creative. It's rule based. Like if you follow these set of rules, like you're going to be successful. And social media really can be that way. Like if you just follow a formula and be consistent, you can still be successful. And so as far as feed goes, I really I don't pay a lot of attention to like how it's going to look aesthetically. Especially with reels, the way that they are now, a lot of people are not going to look at your grid. Yeah. Like, you want it to be aesthetically pleasing, but I don't feel like you have to be overly concerned with it, because most people are not going to, especially a client, they're not going to go to your grid and say, oh, that does not look right, or like that's off by half an inch, or anything like that. Clients are not looking at that stuff. So I don't put a lot of stock into it, except for I don't do black and whites like back to back. Like if I'm going to post a black and white, I want it to be like every like 4th or 5th at least. Like I want my style, like my color style, to really come across most. And so I don't post a lot of black and whites. And if I do, it's not on the first carousel that shows on your grid. Like it's one of the further out ones, even if it's the second one. And then one rule I did learn during my coaching program was just creating like a visual. Like you don't want your eye to just go straight across a grid. You want it to kind of go up and down to keep you like interested, I guess. It has something to do with psychology. Don't remember the exact rules, but So I kind of try to go like close up and then further away, close up, further away. And then if I can, I try to get like the visual part. So like a face, like one face up, another one further down, one up, another further down. That part, the second part, does not always work out perfectly, but it kind of gives me an idea of like what to post and how to make it visually appealing without like overthinking it super, super far. And I've also heard that a lot of people are just really drawn to the realness of like people showing their real life. And so if your feed isn't perfect, it kind of plays into this like I'm a real life human and I'm not perfect. And so people are kind of drawn to that anyways.
Exactly.
So
like I'm posting my life, I'm posting what I'm doing. I'm not like
you almost want to not be perfect.
Yeah.
Like you want to be real. So that kind of gives you some. But, you know, one thing we've been talking about is, you know, Mondays we're posting education. Wednesdays we're posting entertainment. Fridays we're posting inspiration. That way it's just easier for us to like plan ahead and not feel overwhelmed, because if you feel overwhelmed and you get burnout, you quit posting, that's going to kill your algorithm way more than just like keeping a solid schedule. So that's kind of where my brain is as far as social media. I feel like I've learned a lot about social media this last year.
Oh, same.
I was very much like anti, like I'll post if I have to, but I don't want to. And I don't, now I'm not so overwhelmed with it. I feel like I've educated myself. Are we ready for number 8?
I think so.
Ooh, I love this one. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay. So number 8 is reflecting on last year and deciding what you want to focus on this year. So setting goals. January is such a natural time to set new goals and make pivots. And I always tell people, if something that you're offering is not serving you well, it's okay to pivot. It's okay if you have only ever shot weddings and now you want to shoot, you know, motherhood. If that's what's drawing you in, you should go that way, because I would much rather see you make a pivot than stay somewhere stuck that you're unhappy. And because the more unhappy you are, the more burnt out you're going to be. And then you're just going to, your work is going to lose that spark, because you need to have some emotional connection to your work, you know? Definitely. And so we were just having this conversation today of, I don't know that Fresh 48s are a good season for me right now. Like, I absolutely love them. I think they're so precious. I love giving that gift to moms. However, running to the hospital with 24 hours notice, if not less, and I have 2 kids at home and my husband runs a business, like, it's very difficult for me to make it happen. And so I need to do a check-in with myself of, is this really something that I can confidently offer and not be burnt out by it by the end of the year? And so January is a really natural time to say, okay, this didn't work out for me really great last year, but I really enjoyed this. So how do I want to go about this year? Like, am I going to post more branding, or am I going to post more couples? Just deciding what you really want to focus on. I wouldn't say you want to pivot all that often. Like, I wouldn't pivot every 3 or 4 months, but I think once a year is a good time to check in and just refine what you're doing.
I think so too. And really kind of reflect on like the things you did that you absolutely loved, and then the things that you maybe did that you didn't love so much. Because in my mind, being an entrepreneur and a small business owner is hard enough on its own.
Right.
Like, if you're doing something that you're not absolutely in love with, why do it?
Exactly.
You know? Because there's so much that you have to give up in order to be able to be a small business owner and have it be successful to the point that you can actually feed your family with it.
Right.
That it's not, at least to me anyways, it's not worth it to me to take on a bunch of things that I hate doing.
Right.
When it's already that much extra work on my plate.
Yeah, there's already a lot I hate doing.
Exactly. Like I might as well go out and get a regular job or something if it's doing something I hate doing, because at least I would be getting a steady paycheck and then I could
Right.
do what I wanted to when I got home at night.
Yeah.
You know, not saying I want to go out and get a 9 to 5 because I don't.
Right.
But I am arguing that if you don't love what you're doing, pivot to do the things that you do love.
Right.
Because as a business owner, I don't think it makes sense to do, you know, things you don't love.
Yeah.
It's just so much work.
I think it's scary for photographers especially to decide that what your dream was is not your dream anymore.
Yeah.
When I first went full time, I really thought that my dream was to be a wedding photographer. And guess what? This year I am stepping out of weddings.
Yep.
Because my life season has changed. I have 2 little kids at home and I'm helping my husband run another business. Like, weddings is just not where my heart is right now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have the time to pour into them like I really would want to.
Yeah.
And so, will there be another season where I can and want to take weddings? Maybe so. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. But if I just said, well, I can't take weddings anymore, so my dream's over and I'm going to go back to work at a regular 9 to 5. Well, that's not what I want either. And so it's okay to find different things within your photography journey that's going to make you happy and that fits your life season well.
I know a lot of people who will argue with this and say that you need to pick one thing that you're niching down to.
I get bored.
I do too. I personally, I don't think I could ever just pick one thing to do.
Yep.
And like, there's just so many, not that I want to do every single possible thing that you can do with a camera, because I don't want to do that. I don't. Yep. I just don't. But if I have like 2 or 3 things and those are like my things,
yep,
that's like perfect for me because that's just how my brain functions.
Find niches that fit together. So my niches have become small business branding, specifically women entrepreneurs, and motherhood.
Yep.
Those things fit together perfectly.
Yes.
And those are the people that I love serving and that I love like pouring into, because that's like my season of life. And so I just relate to those people so well. Those are 2 very different niches, but they fit together.
Yep.
And so find those things, find the things that you love, see how they fit together, and then run with it.
Yep. So like for me, I know that, weddings and maternity and newborn are not necessarily, you wouldn't think they're necessarily directly related. Mm-hmm. But for me, I found that I love shooting a couple's wedding, and then they come back to me a year or 2 later and they're saying, oh, we're having our first baby. And I do their maternity session, and then I get to see them a few months later and they have their first baby. Yep. And then they come back to me 2 or 3 years later with baby number 2, baby number 3, And I love being able to see them like progress, and it's like I'm growing with them. And that to me is what I really love. Yeah. So in my mind, they do go hand in hand, because if I wouldn't have shot their wedding, they wouldn't have known me and I wouldn't have continued on with them.
And it can be really hard. I know, like, our wedding photographer is from Kansas City, and I loved her. Love our wedding photos, but I can't afford to like have her come down here for our newborn photos or our family photos. So I've had to find someone else to do those things, and that sucks sometimes to like try and find that person again. And so if you want to do weddings, but you want something else to go with it, like that's a very natural combination.
I think so. All right.
Is it
number 9, I think?
Is it your turn?
Yes.
All right.
So this is one I think we actually were talking about a little bit earlier when we were talking about the websites, but schedule yourself a branding shoot.
Yes.
And the reason being is because even if you took pictures of yourself last year, you can change a lot in a year.
I was looking at my photos from last year that you did in January. Mm-hmm. I had a baby like 3 or 4 months before that. I look so different. Like, I ended up taking that photo off my website because I was like, I don't look like that anymore. Yep. Like, my face shape is different. Like, I've lost some weight because I was breastfeeding. Like, I had baby weight. And so you're going to get a haircut. You're going to color your hair. You're going to change your style a little bit. Even if you're not like me having babies, like, things are going to change. So at least once a year, like, if not, I would say get branding photos a couple times a year. But even just once a year, like, I think it's so important.
Definitely.
Even just a little mini session so you have a little bit of content to work with.
People just want to see your face. I mean, if you're expecting them to invest a large amount of money with you,
Right. They
they
want
want
to
to
know
know. Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that all starts by seeing your face.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I would argue that especially in our area, we have so many photographers. Like,
so many.
if you like one style, you can find 10 different people with a very similar style
Mm-hmm.
to go with. Um, like they are not necessarily going to pick you for your style because there are other options. What they are going to pick you for is you, like your personality. You are the brand. And if they don't know who you are, they don't know who the brand is, like what are they picking from? Like
Exactly.
it's almost like a blind date. Like
Yep.
they're going to be more apt to book somebody who they feel like they already know than just going on a blind date because that's scary. And so if you're not giving them the opportunity to know you, you might be missing sales.
Definitely.
And I would argue you are.
Yeah.
I can't say
100%.
that definitively, but I would argue you most likely are losing sales if you're not showing your face.
I agree.
And it's also a great time to find a friend to trade with, which is actually how we became friends, was
Yeah.
trading sessions.
Yeah.
But find somebody who you trust and you guys can split a studio. You can go walk around downtown, find a coffee shop. Like it doesn't necessarily have to cost you money. If you can find a good friend to trade with, don't let the money part like scare you, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And also don't trade unless they're willing to give you raws.
Yeah, because you really need to be able to edit in your
Yep.
style because it doesn't make sense if like, for example, I'm more like on the dark and moody side.
Yep.
It wouldn't make sense for me to have photos done by somebody whose style is light, bright, and airy and
Yep.
allow them to edit them and give them back to me like that
Yep.
and then turn around and use them on my website. They're gonna stick out like a sore thumb.
Yes, I saw a post the other day that said, I met this friend, we're going to trade, but she is saying that she won't give me raws because I don't give people raws. Which is fair with like a client, but like
I think
that's
it's
so
different for
odd.
photographers,
Yes.
because it's like we know the reason I don't give clients raws is because
They don't know how
they
to
don't
process
know,
them.
and they can't process them. It's
Yeah.
not something that they can open on their phone.
Yep.
I would say 9 out of 10 times they're not going to
Yes.
have the software even on their computer to
Totally.
be able to open it or do anything with it.
Yeah.
And I don't think most of them understand that portion of it. They just assume that a raw photo is like an unedited, like JPEG or something
Right.
that they can still see.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's not even something that they could probably do much
Yeah.
with. But to a photographer, I think that is a little bogus in my opinion.
Well, and I can
because,
understand
you
like
know,
copyright. Like
yeah.
I don't want you to take my photo that you edited and go sell it somewhere. But
Yeah.
like what's the chances of that even coming up? You know?
If it's a picture of yourself,
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
the most that most people would do is like post it on their website or
Yeah.
their social media page or, try and use it to sell themselves. And so
Yeah.
at that point, it's like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
get that. I personally, when I'm working with photographers, that's one thing that I would actually appreciate is
Right.
like we're trading the raws and then
Yeah.
there's no work on the back end for either of us either because
Yeah, you just
why?
edit what you want. You
Yeah.
don't have to edit like a whole gallery.
Yeah.
I actually had somebody ask me like why, because I was saying that you and I trade, and sometimes it would be nice to like just have the full client experience, like go get your photos taken, wait for them to be edited and send them back. Like that would be
Yep.
fun. Just
It would.
every once in a while to like have the full client experience. And so I was telling her that I was like, maybe this year I'll actually book somebody and just like have the experience. We'll see. She's like, well, why do you guys not edit the photos? Like, why do you still have to edit them? And I was like, well, I didn't know how to explain it to her because she wasn't a photographer. But I was like, well, that's just a lot of work on the back end. And like, I don't have to edit the ones that I don't want. Like, you don't know, if you're editing my photos, you don't know what I like and what I don't like.
Yep.
But if I'm editing my photos, I know, okay, I like these 10. I'm just going to edit those 10. And it saves everybody so much time and energy,
Mm-hmm.
So now that I'm thinking about it, I do know how to explain it. I was just caught up in the moment. But
well, and it's hard to explain to people who aren't photographers.
Absolutely.
And don't get it. Because
Yeah.
I would say that the market for like trading like that within a photographer community
Yes.
is much different than the market who would be clients who are asking, why can't I have the raws?
Right.
Because the answer is different.
Yeah.
You know,
hard to explain the
it
process,
is.
but if you know the process, it's like,
It
okay,
makes
I
sense.
get it. Yeah. But yeah, all that to say, like, schedule your branding shoot. Don't let the money, like the idea of what it costs, like stop you. Find a friend that, because everybody needs branding photos. Like, if you're in a business, you need to have branding photos. And so there's somebody in your area who's going to be willing to trade with you. You just have to find them. I would say, like, maybe finding somebody who shoots similarly to you, like someone who underexposes versus like overexposes might be a thought. And like Canon versus an Icon, I know we're able to trade raws pretty easily. I don't know if it's because we shoot similarly, like we both underexpose slightly.
I would say that's probably a big thing to do with it, just because our styles are so similar that I think our shooting style and approach with it is similar enough as well that we can make it work.
Yeah.
I will say though, when I edit your photos, I do have to tweak. Like, I can't just apply my preset to it and just go. Like, it does take me a little bit longer to edit your photos than it would for mine, because I'm used to editing mine, but I can get it to look pretty similar with some tweaking.
Yep.
But I do think that has a lot to do with the fact that we're both more on the moody side. We slightly underexposed because of that.
Right.
You know, and it'd be different if you were really bright and light and airy, and then mine was, you know, more on the moody side, and I underexposed, you overexposed, and then we have to compensate for it on the back end.
Yeah.
So,
well, and even if you aren't able to find someone to trade with, maybe you reach out to a photographer and say, hey, this is my situation. Would you be willing to do, you know, like a discounted session because you're not spending the time editing or calling them, and see what they say. I know we have in the works, we have some mini sessions coming up for a photographer specifically, and they're going to be much cheaper than a typical mini session with one of us would be, because they're getting to keep their raws, take them home, and edit them the way that they want them. And so something like that, even if there's not a photographer in your area, like offering minis for photographers, there might be somebody that you can reach out to and say, hey, I really need raws for my business, my photography business. Would you be able to work out something with me? Maybe they say no, and then you move on to someone else, but you never know if you don't ask. So
exactly.
All right. I can't believe we're already into number 10.
I know.
Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to let you say it.
So this is the last one, and I think the most important one.
I knew you were going to say that. That's why I wanted you to go with it.
Give yourself permission to rest, because you've probably just come off of a really busy fall season, or busy season in general, whenever your slow season is. But give yourself permission to just take a chill day, even take a chill week. You deserve it. You know, you deserve to be able to sit on the couch and watch a movie with, you know, your family. You deserve,
without worrying about what's getting missed.
Exactly. Yeah. You deserve to take a week and deep clean your house, or
don't remind me, I need to do that.
Oh, me too. Yeah, my house is a disaster right now. But anyways, you deserve to be able to take time to do things in your personal life. And I just think that so many of us get caught up in the, okay, what's next on the to-do list? That we forget to make time for that. I am guilty of it myself. Very, very guilty of it. So if you needed permission this week to take a break and let yourself rest, let this be your reminder to do that.
I think slow season is a really good time to evaluate that situation for yourself. Like, I have made the decision this year that I'm not taking sessions on Sundays. Like, at all. Sunday is for, I believe that the Sabbath can be whatever day of the week you choose it to be, but you need to have a Sabbath. And for me, it's Sunday because I go to church with my family, and then we have lunch together, and then usually the rest of the day we just hang out and watch movies and just rest. And so for me, that's Sunday. And so I have made the decision that Sunday is 1000% Sabbath. Like, we're not working, we're not doing anything. Sure, little things are going to come up here or there, but if I set that expectation from the very beginning of the year, I know, like, no sessions on Sunday. And it's
Yep.
much easier to hold that boundary when you have already decided in your brain. If you're like halfway in and you're like, I don't know, I don't like to take sessions on Sunday, but I will if I have to, you'll just book Sundays.
Yep.
You will. And so if you, during a slow season, have the opportunity to set those boundaries for yourself, I say you put them in place and you don't wager from them. So if you are someone like me who needs boundaries in place for yourself, like now is the time to do that when you don't have like prior engagements already scheduled during those times.
Definitely.
Was there anything else you want to go over for slow season?
Not that I can think of. That's usually what I do most of the time.
Yeah, I think the list can go on and on and on.
Oh, it really
and you can
can.
always think of something new, but I think the most important thing is just figuring out your goals for the year, figuring out how you can support yourself in those goals
Mhm.
and what you can put in place to support yourself, and then just resting. I think that's the most important part.
I agree.
You don't want to go into a busy season tired.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
That's the most important thing.
Yes. I will say for me, what I noticed worked really well this year was so our natural break times tend to be, well, for me at least, before the fall, usually August.
Mhm.
I rarely do anything in August.
Mhm.
And so I just naturally block off like a week or two in August where I just do a bunch of personal stuff because I know I'm not going to have time
Yeah.
to like do things in my house or whatever during like October and November because I'm just super
Yeah.
busy. And so I just take those days and I do things that I need to get done in my personal life, within my house, you know, rest, prepare for the upcoming busy season.
Yep.
So I think if you think about those things leading up to the busy times, that also helps put you in a good mindset to be able to not get burnt out when you're in the
Right.
thick of it and you're like, oh man, I'm tired.
Yeah. Well, I think also doing things that feeds your soul. And
Yes.
so if there's a styled shoot that you want to go do because it sounds fun, go do it. You know, if that's going to feed you creatively and like pour into your heart, do it. You
Yep.
know, it doesn't have to make sense. Like if, say it's a maternity workshop or something, you're like, that just sounds fun. I don't really shoot maternity, but it could be fun. Just go do it. You know, like
Yep.
slow season is the time to like try different things out and shoot things that you wouldn't normally shoot. Maybe you decide, oh, I really love that. Like, I'm going to pivot this year. Now's the time to do it, you know?
Yep.
Not only rest and set yourself up for success, but just feed yourself, not physically with food. Like, feed
Yeah.
yourself, you know, feed your heart, feed your
Yeah.
soul, and do what you need to do to feel and be your best self when busy season starts.
100%.
All right. I think that's the end of our episode. We will see you guys next week. And I am Michaela Steek, owner of Tilladon Photo Company.
I'm Courtney Miller, owner of Miller Image and Motion.
And we are the Called and Creative. See you guys next time.
Bye.